Okay, so in this video, we'll be starting off with our project. Okay, it will be very easy. Just focus upon what I'm teaching, guys, and you will be able to do it. So we'll create our new sandbox and we'll be using from the templates node HTTP server. Once I've clicked on that, it will open up for you guys. Okay, we'll just wait for it to open up. It will take a second or two. It is initializing the sandbox for us right now. Once it has started, we will just go to the terminal. Inside the terminal, the first thing that we need to do is we need to create our project folder. We'll do a mkdir and then we'll name the project as project. Okay, so this is the folder that we have created, the project folder that we are going to use. The next thing that you need to do is we need to create our npm. We need to initialize our npm itself. We'll do an npm init inside of the folder. We need to first go to the inside of the folder itself. So let's first go to project. Check the current working directory should be project. So pwd, it's project. Now we'll do npm init inside of it. Name project version 1.0, description first project, entry point index.js, test command, get repository, keywords, author, sure, Sinha, license, is this okay? Great. So now that we have initialized our npm inside the folder, the next thing that we need to do is install some of the dependencies. The first dependency that we need is express. So npm install express. Next dependency that we need to install is nodemon. Now, if you're directly doing npm install nodemon, sometimes it would not work. So what we'll be doing is we will be forcing the terminal to install npm to install nodemon for us. For that, the code that we need to use is hash minus force. Okay, we'll do npm install nodemon from right over here. So let's do right over there. Let's paste it up. So npm install minus g, that is global, minus force, that is like hyphen force. Basically, we are forcing npm to install nodemon, and the package name, that is nodemon. So it will install nodemon for us. Okay. Once we have done that, the next particular collection that we need to install is our EJS package. So npm install, here, install EJS. Okay. Now EJS is basically a templating language that we'll be using instead of HTML. Now EJS looks exactly like HTML, but you will be able to use JavaScript inside of that file as well. So when you're writing just HTML packages, you would not be able to use JavaScript inside of that. EJS basically is a type of JavaScript where you are able to use HTML as well. So we'll be installing EJS. You will be able to see it very clearly. Don't worry about it. Okay. Once you have installed all the packages, we need to create our server.js file. Let's go to project. Let's click on create a new file. And inside of that, let's create our server.js files. Server.js is the file that we have created right over here. Let's write the code for the same as well. Let's create a basic structure of a server. That will be very simple. So const and then express is equals to require express. Okay. Next, we need to do const app is equals to express, and then app dot listen. Be using the port 3000. Okay. We'll be saving this right over here. We'll be starting off with our server using nodemon server.js. That will start our Node.js server at 3000. Let's open that up on a new website. As you're able to see, we are getting our normal error, cannot get. So we need to process the get request as well. So we'll create the create request for right now. So right over here, app.get, and inside of that, we'll be having the get request to the root, as we have already studied. Now we were using the unnamed function up till now. Okay, we were using an unnamed function right over here as a callback function. So instead of using an unnamed function, you can use an arrow function as well. Basically, you replace the keyword function by an arrow. That's it. That's the arrow function. Okay. So you have the parameters, that is request and response right over here, just like before. But instead of writing a function before it, you're just putting an arrow towards the code, and then you will be writing your code right over here. That is the function itself right over here. That is res dot send, and we'll be sending the, let's say, hello world. Okay, let's just send hello world for right now to check whether this is working or not. Let's go back to our website. Let's reload the page. Okay, as you're able to see, we are getting hello world. The arrow functions work in the same way as a normal function does. It's just the pattern of writing it is different. The syntax is different. Now, instead of sending a word, we need to send a file. Previously, we have seen the use of send file method, but the better method to be used instead of send file is usually the render method. We'll be using render right over here to render an entire file called as index dot, instead of HTML we'll be using EJS. Okay, so index.ejs. We'll need to create that file as well. So let's create index.ejs right over here. Okay, and so as you're able to see, this is a basic JavaScript file which can contain HTML inside of it as well. So let's save this right over here. So we are now using render instead of send file, so that basically works better at the end of the day. So let's keep it right over here. Let's put up some HTML. Let's have an h1 tag. Let's have an h1 tag right over here, just like normal HTML. Right, hello world. Okay, save this, go back to our website, reload the page. So we failed to look up EJS. Okay, so we have some issues right over there. So I think so we have not written the line up properly. So let us just check that for a second. Okay, so we need to create a view inside the folder if I'm not wrong. So let's try to do that. So we'll have to create a view inside the project folder. So another, I don't want to delete it. I want to create another folder right over here. Let's view, VIEWS. And inside the views, we'll keep our index.js file. It would be inside the index.js folder. And inside of that, we'll be writing our code. And okay. So we need to first tell the server that the thing that he's going to render is basically an EJS file. Okay, so up till now the server basically can render it by default. Okay, we usually render the stuff by default, that is our HTML page. Now we need to render a EJS page, so we need to set it as well. So app.set, okay, and we'll be setting it as the view engine. Okay, we need to change the view engine right over here. And we need to change it that to EJS. Okay, so let's save this right over here. Okay, once we have saved this, let's go back to our website. Let's reload the page. As you're able to see, now we are able to render our h1 element. That is, this is basically the index.ejs file. Now, why we have used the EJS, let's try to understand that. Now, along with render, if I'm passing on a variable as well, okay, let's say that we want to create a variable right over here, and let's name the variable, pass on some props right over here. So we want to create a curly brackets. Inside the curly brackets, we're going to have a name, and we want to have the name as, let's say, Shaurya. Okay, let's have the name as Shaurya right over here. And we can use this particular Shaurya, we can use this particular username inside the folder as well. Okay, inside the EJS file directly. To be able to use that, what we are going to do is we are going to first of all save it right over here, go back to our so now this is getting passed on with the index.js. This value is getting passed on with the index.js. We can go to our index.js file, and in here there we can just have it written something like this. So let's create a percentage equal to name percentage, and this is how we'll be able to send our name according to me. Let's Let's just check that. Let's put it up inside the h1 right over here. Let's remove this, paste s, back to our website, reload the page. Because you're able to see that name basically contained Shaurya, and now that is basically rendering on our website. And that we have done using EJS. So this is the basic syntax of you writing JavaScript inside of right over there. As you're able to see, we are having our less than percent equal to, that is basically we want to use a variable right over here. That is the name variable that we have passed on along with the render method right over here, along with the value that gets stored inside of name. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Now once we have done that, we need to create our different views that we need to have, different routes that we need to have. So let's create the first route, that is app.get, and that would be the login page itself, so hash log in. And instead of that, again we'll create a arrow function, so req comma res right over here, and that is an arrow function. So let's create the arrow function right over here, res dot render, the render method again, and we'll be using the index dot, so login page that will be sending up, so login dot ejs, again an ejs page that we want to send up right over here. Similar to that, we need to create our register page as well, so we'll be creating the view for register, will be for register. Let's copy this and paste it right over here. Of course, we will have to create the views for the same as well. We'll have to create our index.js, okay, login.ejs, so login.ejs, as well as our register.ejs files as well. Okay, so it will be as simple as that, guys. Nothing too complicated about it. We'll create our h1 elements in both of them, just to make sure that everything is rendering properly. So let's save this and let's go to login.ejs. Let's again create an h1 element so that we are able to see things properly. It's also done. Then server.js, we'll be saving this right over here. Okay. Once we have saved this, let's go back to our website. Let's go to the page to make sure that everything is working properly. Let's go to login. Okay, so login is also working properly. Let's go to register, and register is also working properly. So all our routes as well as paths are also working. There shouldn't be any problem with the same. Okay. The next what we are going to do is we are going to create our register form. Okay. We'll be going back to our register.ejs and let's create our register form. So let's make our capital look nice as well. The next thing we are going to create is our form right over here. We need to create a post form. Okay, the action would take place on /register. Okay, so that should be very evident from the website that we are currently building. So that should be /register right over here. And once we have created the form, we need to close the form itself, so it's already been closed for us. Okay, let's save this right over here, and we need to just create a post method for this form as well. Let's go back to our server.js, create the post method, so app.post, and we'll be having our /register that we need to take up in the post method, and we need to create our arrow function right over here as well, so request comma response, and we need to create the arrow function. Let's keep the arrow function as empty for right now. We will be coming back to this and filling this up later on. But at least for right now, we just need to create the entire post function right over here. We will be coming back to this later on as well. Let's go back to our register.ejs. Okay. And inside of that, we will be creating our form that we are going to use at the end of the day. Okay. So let's create a div function right over here. Inside that div function, we'll be creating our label that will basically have the name. So label, and label, we are going to create the name as for the, let's take it as name, that is the label that we want to create. After that, we want to create the input form as well. So first of all, we need to take the input as the name. Okay, so that will be the input function. The input, we need to take it as text, so input and then type text. Okay, so we need to create the input type text. We need to create the name as, let's take up the name as name, the ID as name again. Okay, and let's take it as a required, because when you want to log in, when you want to register yourself, you want to take up the name always. Let's keep this as a compulsory field. So we just need to write required right over here. This will be a required form, required field that we need to have at the end of the day. Let's save this right over here. Let's go back to our website, reload the register page. So as you're able to see, we have the register in the H1. This is basically the label that you are able to see where name is being written. And in front of that, we are having our text field that is compulsory to fill up. Okay. Similar to that, we also need to take up an email as well as password fields. So we won't be writing this again. Let's just copy this from right over here, paste it 2 times. Okay. So now we need to change this for email, and this should be an email function itself. Again, this would be type email. The name would also be the email, ID would also be email, and it will again be a required function. Similarly, for password, we need to have a password. Okay, so let me check the spelling once again. Okay, so password, we need to create it for password. So let's keep the P capital. Input type would be password, the ID would be password, and the name would also be password. Okay, this is how we will be creating the entire thing. Once that has been created, you can save this, go back to the website, reload the page. You're able to see we are having name, email, and password on our screen right now. We also need a button, of course, to submit the form. We need a button at the end of the day. So let's create the button. So button type submit. Okay, and register. That should be the text inside the button. So let's go back to our website, reload the page. As you are able to see, we have created our register main form as well, where we will be taking in the name, we'll be taking up the email, we'll be taking up the password. Okay, so now we need to connect this particular website to back to our login page as well. So for someone who does not want to register, I don't want him to again and again go to the URL and then remove register and type login to go back to the login page. Let's do one thing. Let's create after the form, let's take up some spaces and let's create a link for the login page. So an aref link, let's create that, and let's have it the reference, we need to go back to the login page. So inside of that, we need to go to projects. Inside of project, we need to go to our project, we need views. Inside of views, we need to go to login. I don't know if this will work or not. Let's just check this out. Okay, this is something that is coming auto corrected. I just thought that I will just write login. Let's check whether this will work or not. If I'm clicking on this, okay, yeah, this won't work. So we just need to put up a forward slash login and nothing else. Okay. Just remove everything, just forward slash login, and that should be more than sufficient. So we'll be having it as, let's go back to our register page. On register, let's reload the page once again. Let's click on login. So as you're able to see, we are able to go back to our login page. As simple as that. Once we have done that, we need to create our login website as well. Okay, so for the login, we are going to again copy the entire thing from right over here. Why to just like do it again? Go back to our login page. We will be pasting everything down right over here. Just pasting everything down, and we'll be removing the register to log in. Just look at everything and change it. Login, so the action should be on login. Name, email, password. We don't want to take in name again, so we'll be removing it because this is login. So you will be using email and password for login to the platform. So we need to remove the register to login again, and we need to go back to register at the end. So we'll be creating a link to the register page. This is capital. Let's save this. Go back to register. Let's keep the login L as capital. Let's save this. Go back to our website, reload the page. As you're able to see, we are having the login page right over here. If you click on register, it will take you back to our register page. So we have created the templates that we are going to use in the beginning. Once you have done the templates, now the next thing that we need to do is take in the information from the forms that is going to be filled by using body parser. Okay, so for the next thing that we need to do is we have created the register page, the login page. Now, when your user is creating a profile, is registering himself, basically he's creating a form and he's putting some values inside of it. So we have already learned how to take that values up from that as well. The first thing that we are going to use is use a URL encoded. So let's go back to our server.js file. And inside of that, we are going to have another line of code right over here after app.set, and that would be our app dot use. And instead of using the normal method that we were having, that is the using the body parser, we are going to use our express URL encoded itself. Okay, so we are going to use our express URL encoded, so expres dot URL encod encoded, and we'll keep the encoded extended uh extended extended, and we'll keep it as false by default. Okay, so that is what we are going to do right now. Once we have done that, once we have used the URL encoder to basically get the information from the forms itself, the next thing that we need to do is we need to you can get that information directly by using the request.body.name or request.body.email or request.body.password. Now that is basically the name, email, and password. You are going to use it as the same as the name field that you have put up, name attribute that you have put up inside the EJS file. Okay. So the next thing that we need to do is the password itself. We need to hash that password. So instead of saving the password directly, so for example, if your password is Shaurya, you don't want to save Shaurya directly inside your database. Okay, we want to save a hashed version of that password, so that even if the database or your user data is leaked at any point of time, the actual password of that user is never known to anyone. So that for that we will be using another npm module that basically is your, let me just stop the server right over here. So we'll have to restart the website. Still working. Let's just check that. Okay. So we'll have to restart the website. So let's just reload the page again. If something like this happens, just reload the page. That would be more than sufficient for you guys. Okay, don't worry about it. Once I have reloaded the page, as you're able to see, we'll just create a new terminal. Inside the terminal, we are again going to go cd into the project folder. Inside the project folder, we need to install our npm package once again, that is npm by crypt. So let's first check whether everything is working or not. So nodemon word.js, let's check that. So again, we'll have to install our npm files once again. So let's do that. So npm install -g -force node one. Next thing that we need to install is express. So npm install express. Next that we will need to install is ejs. So let's install that as well. npm install ejs. Okay, so all three have been installed. The next that we need to install is bycrypt. Okay, so for bycrypt, the spelling is b. Let me just check the spelling once again, because we cannot change the spelling. That would provide to be not so helpful for us. Okay, so bcrypt. So let's npm install bcrypt crypt, and so it will install bycrypt for us. Once we have done that, let's start the server. Nodemon server.js. It will start our server on port 3000 that we are currently using. Able to see, let me just open it up on a new window. As you're able to see, it's currently working. We need to go to /register, and we are able to have our register page as well. So let's go back to our code. We have installed bycrypt. Now we need to use it. So const bycr bypt bycrypt is equals to require, and we need to require bycrypt again, bycr ypcrypt. It's not by, it's bcry. Okay, so bycrypt, we have installed that as well, and we have required it. Once we've required it, we need to use it again. So we need to go to our post method for register. This is where our entire code will live. Now, as hashing is a asynchronous code that will be happening. So while the other code is running, the hashing will go on separately in the background. So this is um, asynchronous code. So as this is an asynchronous code, the entire function becomes asynchronous. We need to declare that this function is async in nature. So async async right over here. And just to make sure that the hashing occurs properly. So it may be possible that your hashing fails. So to make sure that if in the case that it succeeds, then a particular code should be running, or if in this case that it fails, then the entire website should reload. So let's create our try and catch block right over here. Try and create the catch block as well. This is the try and catch block. So if the entire hashing succeeds, okay, the code that is inside try would be running. If it fails, we'll be running the code that happens inside of catch. So let's run a code that inside of catch that will be response dot redirect. So we'll be redirecting the user in case of a failed hashing. We'll be redirecting the user, redir direct the user to, let's say, the register page itself. So it will just reload the page. Similarly, when you are running the try block, then this will basically contain all the code that basically happens when the hashing is successful. So let's first create the hash password itself. So let's const uh, shed hash to the password is equals to await. So this is basically, this is the part of the code that is asynchronous. So we are waiting for it to get completed. So by crypt, it's not bcrypt. Okay, again, I am saying bycrypt and I will be typing bcrypt. So bcrypt dot hash, and we'll be using the hash function on the request dot body dot password. Okay, so we are using the request.body.password, and that we are hashing it down. Now, how many times do we want it to be hashed? The key is 10. Okay, so when you're having 10 different hashes, then it's fast as well as secure as well. So you're hashing it 10 different times. So that increases the security, and 10 is like a average number. So it does not take that much time as well. So your code won't be slow. Once you've done that, we need to push it out to a database. So we are not going to use a database in this particular bootcamp. So we'll be having a future bootcamp on just MongoDB and Mongoose. For right now, we are just going to create a local, let's think about it as local database itself. We'll be creating a const of users, and we'll be saving all our users inside of this list itself. So this is a list of all the users that our website has. Let's go down, and what we'll be doing is, it will be very easy. So we are going to just push the information of the user inside the list, okay, upon successful hashing. So users dot push, okay, we are going to push it inside the method, and what we are going to push is a JavaScript object. Okay, we are going to push a JavaScript object containing the ID, the name, the email, and the hashed password of that user. So the ID for right now, because we don't know, so ID should be unique for every single user. Now, what is unique? The timing, the date and time right now for every user would be unique at any point of time. What we are going to do is, we are going to use the date function from JavaScript dot now, that basically gives us the exact timing. This method basically gives us the exact time that is right now. We'll be converting it to string. Okay, we convert the date and time to string, that will be the id. Okay, then we have the name will be saving it as from request.body.name. Okay, the next thing that we need to put is the email of the user. So the email will again come from the request.body.email. And then the last that we are having is the password. Okay, for the password itself, what you are going to do is you're going to put up the hashed password. Okay, you're going to pass in the hashed password right over here. You won't be using anything else. Right over here, you have pushed the user inside the user's array itself. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to create a response dot redirect after the successful direct after the successful creation of the same. You're going to redirect the user to the login page. Okay, that he is able to log in right now because he has successfully registered himself. Now we'll just put up a small let's say uh, command prompt itself at the end. Sorry, not command prompt. Console.log upon the successful creation of the user, because we need to check whether the user has been created successfully or not, and that is something that we can only check via console.log. So at the end, before just closing it up, we're going to put up a console.log just to check what is getting saved inside our users array. Okay, console.log users. So let's save it right over here. Go back to our website, reload the page. Right over here, I will write my name as S, my email as s@g, and my password as SHA, and I will just click on register right over here. So it is a successful registration, as you're able to see, because we went to the login page right now. Let's go back to our website. Let's look at the console. Okay, console, I should have increased the size of the console. Let's redo it. Okay, let's redo it. So let's keep the name as w, email as w at a rate g h, and the password as was was. Click on register once again. Let's go back to our website. As you're able to see, the users array, this is the array that you're able to see. The id is the current timing that we are having. Okay, the name is s, the email is s@g, that is the first user that we created, and then we are having the hashed password. The password for the first user was sa, I guess, and this is the hashing for the same. Okay, this is the second password. As you're able to see, the id, the name, the email, the password that you're able to see is the hash password of the second user. So looking at the hash, you're not able to understand what the original password was, and that is the aim. This is basically for data privacy. Okay, right now we have implemented the register page. Okay, this is the code for registration. I've just removed the console.log from right over here. The next thing that we need to look at is creating the login. Okay, so that is what we'll be focusing upon. Okay, so the next thing that we have to look forward to is once we have completed the registration, we need to look at the login pages. Now, for the login page, we are going to use passport. Basically, login is you are checking the current email and the password provided by the user with something that is present in your backend. Okay, that is your users list itself. Now, this process you may think as very easy, but it's very difficult to maintain that the user is currently logged into the system across various sessions when he's going to register page, when he's going to login page, when he's going to various different pages as well. So for that, you are having another handy uh, npm package called as the passport package that we are going to use. So let us get started right away. First of all, we'll be seeding into the project. Once we are into the project, we will be npm install -g minus course one. After that, we will be installing our express EJS as well. npm install express. M install EJS. Along with that, we will be installing our passport. So that would be npm install passport passport, as well as we will be installing our passport local. So basically what happens is you are having a lot many number of categories or packages of passport that you can use at any point of time. Okay, so for example, one of those packages you can use it to install, let's say, passport just for logging in through Google or logging in through Facebook, GitHub, and many other things as well. So, but we want to log in through email and username. So we will be using npm install passport hyphen local. Okay, so we'll be installing npm install passport hyphen local. Once we have done that, we have installed all the packages that we are going to need to run the program. Down in the description of the video, you will be able to see a passport hyphen config.js file. Okay, I will be putting it up as a text file itself. What you have to do is you have to come right over here into the files, as you are able to see. You have to create a new file inside of project. Okay, inside a project you have to create a new file called as passport config.js. Inside of that, you have to copy paste all the code that I've provided to you in the text file below. Okay, you can just open up the text file. All the code is right over there. You just have to copy it and paste it up right over here. Okay, so this I've already done for you. I've already configured the passport so that you are able to use it directly. Okay, so that would be very easy for you to do. The second thing that we want to do is we want to use nodemon server.js right over here. Okay, so we have a particular crash that has happened. Okay, so we need to npm install bcrypt as well. So we have bcrypt as well that we have to install. Npm install bcrypt bcrypt. Okay, so that will handle the bcrypt for us. Next, we can start our nodemon server. So our server.js has already started on browser 3000. So just open it up in a new page, and as you're able to see, it's up and running. Next, what we want to do is we want to go to our server.js file. So let's close this down from right over here. We want to go to server.js. We can close well, guys. And now we can continue writing our code inside our server.js file. So now that you have worked upon the passport and the rest as well, the next that you have to do is you have to import password. So you have to use password right over here. So let's do that first of all. So const uh, passport equals to require the passport file. Okay, so that we have used, requiring passport right over here. The next thing that we need to do is we need to initialize our passport. So the file that you have currently created, that is passport config, we'll be using that file to initialize passport for us. So let's do that. So const uh, initialize passport. Okay, so that will be const size passport equals to require. So we'll be requiring that particular file that we have created. Okay, dot forward slash sandbox to project. Then we need to get config. I think so. It should directly be, I guess, forward slash passport config. I guess. Let's try to this. Let's try to run this. Okay, let's try to see how that goes on. Okay. So now we'll be initializing our passport. So we'll be using size passport right over here. And we'll be initializing the passport as passport, comma, we need our email is basically arrow function and unnamed arrow function right over here. Return users dot find we're going to find users from a user array itself. User having the email, user with the user email as email. Okay, so we want to find the user that has the email as the email that we need. Okay, so let us just check if everything is looking appropriate enough. Okay, okay. Yes, we are missing a particular. Let's look into this. Now, there are some things that we need to do before we are able to start off with our final code. So that is something that we'll be working upon right now. First of all, as this is just one return statement, we can remove the brackets from right over here. We don't actually need it. Let's put it up right there, and we need a return statement as well that can. So this should be able to handle his passport, email, and we are able to have the entire stuff thing. And just remove this to the next line, so it's much more legible for us. Yeah, now we are able to read the initial pass as well. The next thing that we need is a few more npm install commands that we need to utilize. So we'll be working upon that. Let's first stop our server and here clear it up. We need to clear. We need to npm install flash. Okay, we need to install our flash session right over there, because why that is required, that is has a reason as well. Okay, the reason for the same is that the error messages that you need to show when a user is putting a wrong message or a wrong email or a wrong password itself, so all that you need to showcase to the user. So this npm module will help you out with that. That is express hyphen flash. Okay, the next module that you need to install is express session. So as you are going into different sessions, it need to be able to bring everything together as well, so that the express remembers that this particular person is logged in currently, or is this particular person is logged out currently. So for that as well, we'll be utilizing another npm command, npm install express session. Okay, the express hyphen session is something that we need to install right over here. Now once both of them are installed, we can again go back to our node server.js and get that up and running. Once that is the case, we need to bring both the things back again down below. Okay, so that will be creating the constant itself. Okay, so that would be a const flash to require this hyphen flash. And similarly, we would like to have one for session as well. Just copy paste this from right there, session here as well. Just copy paste it here. We're having flash session that we have put up. Next thing that we want to focus upon is using the flash as well as the session variables. Okay, so we need to tell our app to use both the same. So that will be a use case app.use, and we'll be telling our app to use flash. First of all, telling our app to use flash. The second that we are going to ask our app to use is our session. Now session basically takes in some parameters that we need to feed to it. Now these parameters, just try to understand that every session needs to be made in a very cryptic manner. Okay, the information that is being exchanged, information that is being passed on, when the user is authenticated or not, there needs to be a secret keys that we need to set up, so that all the information is like not getting stolen by someone. Everybody is not able to read it. Okay, so for that we need a secret that we are going to cover up right over here. I think so my spelling is wrong. SECRET, secret. And it will be process dot env dot session score. That needs to be capitalized. Session underscore SECRET. Okay, so we will be putting up our secret inside a particular env file itself. Okay, so what we are going to do right now is going back to our files. Okay, we are going to create another file called as .env file. Okay, name of the file is .env file, and inside of right over there we are going to create our session underscore SECRET secret, that it's not getting leaked anywhere, and that would be equal to secret. So we will keep this as something random. Let's take it as SECRET secret as a text itself, and let's save it right over here. Okay, so that is the e.env file that we have created right over here. Okay, so right now back into the server.js file, we need to load in our session secret and the process itself. So to do that, we will be going to the top of the file right over here, and we'll be creating and loading it. So you don't need to understand this right now. You can just write the exact same thing that I've written. So if proc process.env dot load the scope b is not equal to not reduction. In that particular case, let us require dot b big, and once done, we will be getting all our defined dependencies and defined variables from it there and set it up as our process. Okay, that will be done from right over there. Move on from there and let's go back to our app.use, and there are some other tools that we need to put up right over here, such as resave. Just take up this as default as false, and let's have the save um save did initialized again as false. Okay, next thing that we need to do is we need to use our app.save app.use for created and initialized as well, app.use, and then we'll your passport dot initialized, that is all. Okay, so once we have covered this much, see. Okay, so now that we have completed the same, we need to create the post method for our login page as well. So we have created the post method for our registration page. Now we need to work upon the login page. So let's try to do that. So app.post, and this post should be working for the slash login page itself. Here we are going to directly use the passport authenticate method to basically authenticate the user. So basically this is called as a middleware. Okay, so passport gate. Okay, let us check the spelling. Authenticate. Okay, yeah, correct, I guess. Local, because we are using the local method itself. Curly braces. Inside of that, we need to specify what will happen if there's a success or there's a failure of the authentication itself. In case of SUCC, is success, redirect, we need to take it to the main page, that is the home page. Similarly, in case of a failure, if in case of a failure, redirect, we need to take it to the login page once again. So, and we need to take the failure messages. Okay, so failure messages that we need to show, that will be FAIUR failure, and then flash failure flash, that should be set to true right over here. So this will basically take the messages that we have in our passport config file and use it right over here itself. Okay, so next we need to showcase this message on our login page as well. What we'll be doing is we will be going back to our views, to our login.ejs, and right over here we need to set up our messages that we need to show if the login fails. So for that, we'll be using the JavaScript right over here. If, and then you will be having the message error that fails, the message dot error. If there is a message error in that particular case, we need to ending. We need to showcase the variable name. So that variable name would be percent is equal to dot error right over here to close it up. And once we have closed it, we have to close the if statement as well. So let's closing it for the if statement. Should good to save it right over here. Okay, this basically whatever, if there is any type of error, then that should be able to handle it for us. Let's check if everything is working. Clear, clear, run on. We got a module not found. Okay, throw error. We are getting cannot find the module dot env. Okay, so we need to look into this. Okay, for that, the reason that this is crashing is because we haven't installed the .env npm package that basically helps us to use the .env file itself. So we need to do that. Let's again clear this stuff up. We need to do npm install .env right over here. So it will install the same for us. Let's check if it is working right now or not. On server.js. Again, we got an app crash. Let's look at Express. Oh shit, we will have to install everything once again. That is a huge problem. Nevertheless, we have to do this. We choice clear, install, and install press. Let's see if that's the only module that's missing, or we'll have to run everything once again. Node on server.js. Yeah, we'll have to do everything once. So let's do that. We don't have any other option. Press.js, EJS, PCRYPT script. And then what are the other things that we need? Passport. We need your passport local. We need XP slash session. Think so. These are all the things that we need to install. Think so that is done. Let us try to see if nodemons are. Oh yeah, we haven't done nodemon itself. Initialized is not a function. What initialize have we not included? Okay, passport config hasn't been imported. I guess this is the problem right over here, that import isn't working. Have to reassess particular line of. Just look at that to move the entire thing. Just keep passport config. Let this try to do this once. See found config that have spelling print dot passport config. Save it once. See, run nodemon server.js again. Put initial is not a function. Spelling mistake. Initialize passport app.use. Getting dot use some app.initialized app.use session problem eyes. Okay, let's go back to our file. Let me just check the password config. Okay, it's initialized, not initialized. So there's an extra D right over there. So it should be passport initial. Back to our the restart the server. Okay, so this time the server has started and we are not getting any error as you are able to see. Let's go back to our website and let's go to check whether everything is working or not. We'll be going to the login page. Let's reload the login page and we are getting some error. So what is this error that we are able to see? Message is not defined. Let's try to understand what this error is. Okay, so it shouldn't be message but messages. So it's plural. So again, like there will be a lot of spelling mistake, guys. Pardon me for the same. Be messages, messages right over here as well. Save it. See if it is working. See, yes. Try to read the page once again. Okay, so now the page is loading. We aren't getting any errors right over here. Let's try to log in something inside. Okay, so let's try to log in with any random email ID at a rate thing and some random password. So let's log in. So we are getting an unauthorized right over there. Let's register someone. Okay, let's try to register with S and email as S at a rate S and let's keep password as S as well. Register this particular person. So it's just to the login page. In the login page, let's try to use the same email S at a rate S, but the password as SHA. So that was the wrong password. Try to log in. It's again coming as unauthorized. Okay, so one more mistake that we were currently doing is the spelling for failure was also wrong. It's FAIL and then URE. So that is the correct spelling of failure. So guys, please pardon me for that as well. Let's replace the failure both ways. Save it right over here. So node 1 will restart the server for us. Go back to our login page. Let's register someone. S. Let's take up another example. W at a rate W and the password will be W. So let's register this user. Let's try to log in via an wrong email itself. So let's say SHA at a rate SHA and the password. Okay, so this is a wrong user. We don't have this user right over here. As you're able to see, we are getting no user with that email. Let's write the right user. So W at a rate W, that is the right user. But the password will write it as wrong. The correct password was W. We are using SHA right over here as password. We are trying to log into the platform. We are again getting the password is incorrect. We are handling all the errors correctly right now. Now, the only thing that is left is what if the user writes the correct email and password in the login page? So what should we do at that point of time? That is the only thing that is left for us to handle. Next thing that we need to insert right over here is for checking up the ID of the user as well, because that is unique to the user. So what we are going to do is we are again going to create one for ID and then an arrow right over here. Just copy paste the entire thing, but we don't have to write it again. This time we need to check the ID of the user again. We don't want the comma at the end because there's nothing else after this. Just be saving this right here. Don't want to restart the entire server. Go back to our register page. Go back to our page. Let's register a user called as S at the rate S, password as S. Register him. If I'm putting up the wrong email, Shah at the rate Shah with Shah as the password, so you will be able to see that no user with that email. If I'm doing S at the rate S, the password as SHA, again that will be our incorrect password. But if I'm doing S at a rate S and the correct password, that is S itself, so I should be able to go into hello world Shaurya. Now there's one more problem. If you're trying to access the link directly, okay, that is hello world.shaurya, we shouldn't be able to do this. If you're trying to access this particular link directly, we shouldn't be able to do this. Example, if I'm restarting my server, okay, restarted my server once again, okay, I will go back to my link and I will try to just access this particular website. I'm not yet logged into the platform, I'm not yet authenticated, but still I'm able to get access to this. And this shouldn't be the case. We should not be able to access this. For that, we need to create another function. Let's go below, and we'll be using another function called as, let's say, check the did. We're going to check whether the user is authenticated or not. Request response and next should be on name, and if request dot is authenticated, this basically comes from the password itself, so we already have this method for checking if request is authenticated or not. In that particular case, if it's authenticated, then we'll be returning to you the next page itself that is going to happen, that is whatever is going to happen next. And else, if it is not authenticated, we'll be returning request response dot redirect to the, say, the login page. Direct and here, save this, and then we need to go above to the get normal one, that is home root. We just need to add right over here check authenticated before we check authenticated space yes. Now that we are having the check authenticated, as soon as we are trying to go to the main page, it will directly redirect us to the login page. So if we try to go on to the root of the website itself, if we try to go onto the root of the website, it will automatically uh, send us to the login page back. This is how your entire application you are able to use at the end of the day. This is the project that you have to build. Okay, you won't get access to this particular code sandbox. You have to build this entire project. The link for the project submission is down in the description of the video, along with the passport config, passport-config.js file, so that you have to use. Thank you so much. I hope that I will be able to see you in the future boot camps as well. And thank you guys so much.